Assalamu alaikum and peace be unto all of you. I'm here today. I just wanted to share with you briefly my story as to how and why I converted to Islam. So I'll just get started. So growing up, I actually was raised in a very devout Catholic household. Without fail, my parents used to bring us to church every single Sunday. We used to practice all of the holidays and celebrate all the holidays and the religious sense. My parents would fast on Fridays. I actually went to Catholic school my entire life. So definitely very well versed in the Catholic faith. But the one thing I will say is, even just growing up, I did know a lot about the faith, but I was never really brought to think about why I was particularly doing things, or you wouldn't really think very deeply into theology particularly. And you know, it was after the fact when I finished high school and I started going to post-secondary education, like college, university, that was when I finally actually started thinking a little bit about my faith. Maybe it was the rebellious sense in all of us when we finally become somewhat independent and we want to be our own person, but definitely it was a little bit more than that. I remember, you know, just going to school after the fact, and it was the first time in my life I was actually intermingling with people that were not of the same faith group with me, just because, you know, going to a Catholic school, all my friends were Catholic. You know, I was a good girl. I never really went out a ton, so I can't say that I really had a lot of friends outside of my faith group. But when I actually went to college, university, I actually for the first time interacted and met, you know, Muslims as an example, and it kind of made me think about my faith in a greater sense. Like, I remember, you know, just going to church and thinking, for the first time in my life, like, you know, we're not supposed to be worshiping idols, so why do we even have, you know, like, statues inside the church that people are praying towards? Or if we're supposed to be praying to the one God, like, why are we praying to the Virgin Mary, or why are we praying to other people and saints when, you know, God is the creator of all things and God is the Almighty? In that sense, like, it just kind of raised a lot of questions, or I started thinking simply about you know, Trinitarian issues, and the fact that if Jesus was praying, who is he praying to if he is God? Or why would he be in need particularly? Like, a lot of these things, no matter who I would talk to, wouldn't really have a great resolution. You know, just to name a couple of other things, like, if God is eternal, then how could God die? Like, I really just couldn't wrap my head around a lot of these issues, and the more research I did, the more I realized that a lot of these theological issues came after the fact, and the pure Christianity was actually Unitarian, but it was the later kind of additions that changed the faith to make it what we know it as today, particularly, meaning kind of more of a Pauline Christianity. But I won't get into that. So generally, at that point, that was kind of when I was questioning a little bit more, but I really didn't have much of a solution. I just had questions. I started kind of looking into agnosticism, just because I figured, you know, if Christianity is wrong and, you know, all of these other religions are quote-unquote polytheistic, and I can't really accept that. They're either polytheistic or they're not particularly religions. They're more kind of like ways of thinking and whatnot. I don't really want to be involved with any of these, and I never really found a good monotheistic solution, but at the same time I wasn't really looking much into religion. You know, but then it got to a point where I actually got in discussion about religion with some Muslims, actually, when I was at school. And I really didn't know much about their faith, to be quite honest. I had all of the stereotypical kind of ideas as to what Islam actually was. You know, the fact that it was terrorist mongering and a violent faith, and, you know, they just want to convert everyone by the sword, quote unquote.